In the spirit of today's theme, I have provided 3 terrifying stories from Reddit that revolve around Easter. And without further ado, let's begin. Number 1. When I was younger, I used to live by the woods and could see a cemetery from my back porch. I remember one Easter, waking up and seeing the Easter Bunny, one of those terrifying costumes. And what really gets me is I remember smelling the wet hay. When I woke up, I didn't tell anyone, but there was an extra Easter egg in my house that my parents didn't hide. Years later, when I was in high school, I asked my parents if they ever dressed up like the Easter Bunny and came into our room. They said they would never go through so much trouble. Then my younger sister, who I shared a bunk bed with when this happened, said she remembers when the Easter Bunny came into our room and she made a remark about the hay smell. I was terrified that we both remembered seeing a person dressed as a bunny in our room. To make it even stranger, I told the friends I sat with at lunch what happened. One of the girls was my neighbor across the street. She told me one Easter a long time ago she looked out her window during the night and saw the Easter Bunny standing in her driveway. This gave me chills. To this day, I am terrified of people in rabbit costumes. Number 2. My husband and I have 2 kids, both boys, both still believing in things like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. My husband works at some big computer place near a mall, and the boys and myself usually meet Daddy at his work during lunch, where he treats us to lunch at the food court in the mall on weekends. My husband has Tuesdays and Wednesdays off. Our oldest son is 6 and is in the 1st grade, and I do not wish to be unfair and take his little brother, who is 2, to the mall and have lunch with Daddy. The last weekend in March, I took the boys to the mall with their daddy for lunch. Signs were plastered all over the mall about having our child's picture taken with the Easter Bunny. Our youngest son nearly threw a fit about not meeting the Easter Bunny. We had no time. We had time for lunch, and that was it. As lunch was finishing, I told my husband that I wanted to pop into a store to check out these figures I collect. So, we did not walk out together. My youngest was still miffed about not meeting the Easter Bunny, and when I told him I wanted to surprise Daddy with a nice framed photo of his sons with the Easter Bunny, he was happy. The line was not too horribly long. Most parents had gotten this out of the way in the start of March. The reason I had not is because I hate crowds. We did the same thing with Santa Claus as well. The kids got their picture taken with the bunny, and I'd ordered a print in the frame. My youngest son screamed, and my oldest yelled, "Let him go!" I looked at the bunny, and he was not letting go. I have had my share of costume characters hold on to me, but this was not the silly, loving way that costume characters usually did it. He had a grip on my son, a scary, tight grip. My oldest son managed to get my youngest out of the grip, and we left with the photo. We piled into the car, and apparently, I had been crying when that had happened, and my oldest asked why. I had had flashes of John Walsh and his son, Adam Walsh, and told my kids the entire story. My youngest started to cry when he realized how easy it would have been for the bunny to take him. Later that night, around 6, my husband and I took our kids out to a Japanese-styled restaurant. We were driving back when my oldest looked out the window and said he saw the Easter Bunny. My youngest son burst into tears, and my husband got mad at our oldest son. He knew very well that those words would freak his little brother out, but he kept trying to get my husband and myself to believe he had seen the bunny. Of course, we did not believe him. We only believed he was trying to scare his little brother, a favorite pastime of his. The rest of the trip home was focused on him and not his older brother. That night, I made sure to explain to my older son that fear can be fun if it's all fake and safe, like a horror movie. But when fear is real, it's not so fun and safe, like what happened today. He seemed very sorry and apologized to his little brother. We all went to bed, happier than after dinner. That was until our oldest son woke my husband and I up. He was crying. This was strange. He did not normally cry. All we could understand was that the Easter Bunny was outside his window. My husband took him back to the room and screamed for me. I ran. Judging by my husband's voice, it sounded urgent. The window was open and our youngest was gone. No blood in the bed, just gone. We all ran to the backyard to see if we could find any clues. All my husband was able to find were big footprints leading the side of the dusty hill. The following year, this year, my oldest, my only child, has complained of seeing the Easter Bunny, waving to him. Number 3. Before I start, please keep in mind that though this story may sound absolutely ridiculous, it is not a joke. Not by any means. It all started when my husband and I were searching for our first house together. We had looked at so many houses by this point that we were becoming agitated with the whole process. It was, however, my fault. I was the picky one. I was the one who didn't like basements and attics and turned down house after house because I was creeped out. Just when we were at the point of giving up, we found it. We found my perfect house. It was, as the realtor put it, a multi-level. The kitchen, living room, and dining room were all connected together on the main floor, with no doors in between those rooms. 4 steps up led to the upstairs. 2 bedrooms, a master bathroom, and an office. 4 steps down from the main floor was a landing that led to a laundry room and a door that went to the garage. Finally, 4 steps down from the landing was a loft, complete with a bar and another full bathroom. I was in love. Nothing felt like a basement or attic, and I didn't have any creepy or weird feelings about the place. The only thing out of the ordinary was that the previous owners were building an addition on the back of the house and didn't quite finish it. Everything was basically done except for the paneling. It would be an easy project for us to finish. The house was definitely in our price range and we wanted to close immediately. It was during this time that since we were using a VA loan, we had to get the house fully inspected. Our inspector did an amazing job. He climbed up into the storage areas that were accessed through what is now our guest room. He went in and out of each closet. He got into every nook and cranny that there was to this house, and he wrote up an extremely thorough and detailed report on the property. The only things that were found were a note written by what appeared to be a middle or high school aged girl talking about a boy she liked, and a cylindrical safe. The note, which I threw away because I thought it was junk, was found up in the storage area, and the safe, which is still there, unopened, was under the sink in the bar. No one had lived in that house for over a year, and my realtor, the bank, and me and my husband were the only people with the code to the house at this point. I was assured that no one else was allowed to access it while we were doing minor repairs to pass the inspection. I am telling you this because this is the reason I know that the house was now empty. There was nothing else left behind. It was Easter Sunday right before we ended up closing on the house, and we were telling my sister all about it. She pointed out that she still hadn't seen it, and since we had the code and nothing to do that day, that we should take her on a tour. Not long after she mentioned it, we were exploring the house with her, telling her all of our plans. We got to the room that we were planning to be our room, and I opened the closet, happily telling her about the massive amount of closet space it had. It was then that a roll of Easter Bunny wrapping paper fell out and hit me on the head. Laugh if you will, but there was nothing in that closet before. I swear on it. Despite being a little bit creeped out about this, it didn't stop us from buying the house that I fell in love with. We were closed and moved in within no time. Nothing eventful happened for months after that. I didn't feel anything bad in that house, and my feelings of unease went away. That was until I found the bunny. I was alone one night while my husband was at class at the local college. I had to run up to the guest room to get something that I printed from my iPad out of the printer that we kept in there. While I was in there, I saw a stuffed bunny lying on the floor by the closet. I really didn't think anything of it at the time. My 8-year-old niece stays in that room every so often when she sleeps over, so I just figured it was hers. I put it on the bed and went back to my work. I didn't think about it again until my niece stayed over that weekend. I sent her to the room to go put her little night bag up in the bed. So she came back holding the bunny, asking whose it was, saying that it was really cute. I just stared at her for a moment before answering with, "You mean it's not yours?" She claimed she had never seen it before, and I believe her. My niece has never been one to lie, and she isn't one for playing pranks. I took it from her, saying that it must have been mine from when I was younger and that I had forgotten it. I put it up on the top shelf of the linen closet. Again, I put it out of my mind and had forgotten completely about it until the other day when I came home from work before my husband got home and noticed an odd glass bottle on the kitchen counter. I picked it up and examined it, noting that it looked like a glass vial with what looked like blue dye dried up in it and a buddy head stopper on the top. It looked old. Still, I don't know why, but I paid it no mind and set it back on the counter, thinking maybe my niece left it over at my house. When my husband got home, he went about his daily routine on winding down after work, getting changed into something more comfortable, getting a drink of water, etc. I was on the couch when he came out of the kitchen holding the little glass bottle. "Please tell me you know what this is." Something about his voice alarmed me. When I told him I had no idea what it was, he got a strange look on his face. He told me that while he was putting away dishes that morning, he went to put a glass up in the cabinet and noticed that all the other glasses were in a circle around this glass bottle. He thought that maybe I'd put it up there for some odd reason. He thought that maybe I had gotten it somewhere and wanted to keep it out of reaching distance of our dog. Well, it didn't take long for me to remember the stuffed bunny, and I ran up the closet to check to see if it was still there. And sure enough, it was gone. I called my sister and told her about it so that she would ask my niece about the bottle. My niece again had no idea whose it was. My sister asked to see the bottle, and I showed it to her a few days later when I saw her next. She is older than me by 8 years, so that is maybe why she recognized it when I didn't. She told me that it was part of an Easter egg dyeing set, Ruby's Easter egg dye. As soon as I got home, I started doing research. I found out that Ruby's Easter egg dye was made by the Tootsie Toy Company, which went out of business in the 90s. You can apparently still get this dye through places like eBay, from people who held on to the past. But this bottle looked old and it had been used. The dye was all dried out and the stopper looked deteriorated. When I told my husband what I had found out, he freaked out and threw the bottle away. I have begun to think about what could have happened in this house. Did something happen that was connected to the Easter holiday? My Google searches on my address bring up nothing. I'm seriously becoming terrified of the Easter Bunny. What up, guys? This is Graveyard Golgotha, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment on which story you like the best, and share this video. Doing all of those things really helps out my channel and will provide me with more motivation to keep doing what I love. And it will provide you guys with more content to come. For those who are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button and become a member of the underground today. Once again, thanks for watching. Happy Easter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.